There's actually wine in my cup today.
There's wine in my cup. Hey, bad bitches. I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Peyton.
And today we are tier ranking the top 20 most popular female fantasy FMCs.
That's a mouthful. So
I know.
join us with a cup of coffee and or wine as we dive between these paper sheets. Let's do this. Alrighty. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode. We are taking a break from some book reviews. We're doing a bookish challenge today. Well, kind of a challenge. More so, we are tier ranking our favorite female fantasy characters or just ones that we've read recently. So I'm putting a no major spoiler warning here. More so, we're just going to talk about the characteristics of these ladies. And yeah, so basically there may be some like the evolution maybe or like an arc, but no plot spoilers or anything like that. Just vibes.
Just
All
vibes. Just a little complete opinion based.
Yes,
ranking.
Just characters. I'm sure this is going to be a great video if we want some controversy.
Yeah, we'll see if Peyton and I tussle as well because we only got one.
Yeah.
We have one standard. This is hard covers ranking, and so if we disagree, we'll have to just like fist fight it out. I don't know.
We're gonna have to meet in the middle probably. Yes. So we have some really cool categories that Aubrey's gonna explain.
Yes. Okay. So starting at our S tier, our very top, we have my queen. This is your absolute ride or die. I wish I was with her or her kind of vibe. Okay. Next, we have bestie tier. These are our girls. You know what I mean? Like just when you think about a FMC and you're like, I love
She's
this
great.
character.
She's great. Yeah.
Then we have she's fine. You know,
She's
not
good.
everyone can be your favorite, and that's all right. She's fine. She is
kind of run of the mill, maybe.
Best life. Yeah. You know, I have nothing negative to say about this character. She's fine. Next, we have forgettable. You know, you can't remember them all. There's someone here that I was like, I remember that book. I don't remember that character's name. And I had to Google it and find it to prep for this. So I know I definitely have some forgettables on here. And then if there's anything worse than being forgettable, which you could argue one or the other, but for a ranking at least, low-key annoying. And the main character that just got on your nerves a bit, maybe ruined the book more than if you had someone else. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I know there's definitely a lot of male main characters that I would put in the low-key annoying and like ruined the book for me.
100%. I don't hate any of these ladies. I've never met a fantasy female lead that I haven't liked, but there are some where I'm like, okay. Also, sometimes in fantasy, we can get the same sort of female lead, and I've seen that a lot on Book Talk recently. So sometimes I just gotta be like, all right.
And sometimes it really does matter what order you read books, because I know there's at least one girl on here that I would have loved so much more if I had read her story at the like beginning of my romantasy especially journey. But then I read it later and I was like, I've done this.
Yeah, you're this, a copy paste.
So let's get in with it. Leading lady number 1, Aelin Galathinius. Oh, also, I just realized that when I put them in, it shuffled. So we can go back and forth, and I'll just grab them from wherever if you introduce one that's not actually next on my list.
Got you.
Because it's not the same.
Okay.
The list Peyton has is in the order that I put the pictures in, and it is not the order that the tier ranking system has.
Aubrey's going to play hide and seek. Gonna have to search from. Okay, so Aelin, I mean, I'm sorry, she's queen level. Like,
of course.
Aelin, like, I've never met someone who doesn't feel that way.
Yeah. She is in the Throne of Glass books. She is a character that gets introduced a little bit ways into the series, but she is our main character. You know what I mean? Like in the heart. I've never met a character that was more complex. She represents like femininity femininity and being the strongest, most badass warrior as well, so well. She loves dresses and cakes and, like some of the softer things that I think a lot of the females on this list would say that they absolutely hate.
Yes.
But she also is like that bitch breathing queen. You know what I mean? Like she takes
Yes.
on that bitchiness. She takes on the badassness.
She owns
Ah,
it.
I love her.
She's a great character,
Mhm.
and the only character probably out of this whole list that I can, like, say that I really don't think I've heard a lot of bad things about Aelin. So,
Yeah.
and if you do, you're gonna have a whole community coming after you.
So keep it to
Yes.
yourself maybe, unless
Yeah,
you
so
want that
definitely
rage bait.
definitely my queen. All right. Our next one is Jude from The Cruel Prince. Um, this is where like Aubrey and I may go back and forth,
I
but because it's Aubrey's ride or die, I'm going to allow it on the queen tier
Where would you
because
put her if you were doing this by yourself?
bestie tier.
Bessie tier?
I love Jade. Oh my god, Jude's character. She reminds me a lot of Aelin.
That is true. I see that. I she is just
The
too
tomboy version of Aelin.
she's very I think she's just a more wicked version in general.
Also, she's kind of a bro. Like
She is. She is. I mean,
Aelin
her
is cute, but
sister is
she's really a
definitely
bro.
more feminine and like what I was saying about Aelin, how she like will accept a lot of that stuff. Jude has kind of I feel like for Jude, at least, when she pushes away feminine things, it is because of the conditioning and environment she grew up in, and less of a pick me way that I see in other girls. But yes, she does. She is not that feminine icon in that way.
I
But
just think like her being like working with like those assassins or whatever in the book,
yeah,
she
hmm
kind of joins this kind of like it's very much Aelin. Like I don't know,
yeah,
like if I think about
yeah.
them, they're kind of in the same category. So I'm all for queen tier. Just so we're clear, guys, we're not gonna put all of these ladies in queen tier. It just so happens we have a fierce lineup right away.
Yes, yes.
So put her up there. Put her up there. I am 100% okay with that. I'm not gonna
I
lose
think
sleep over it.
Jude is the most unique female main character I've ever read. Aelin comes very, very close, like touching close second. But like she is just so oh my god, I cannot speak today. It's the wine in my mug.
It's
Uh
Friday at 5, guys.
she is so cunning and manipulative and like a product of her environment, and she's never like ashamed of it. She doesn't like bash away from it. I love her so much, and I also love Holly Black's works in general. She's the main character in the Cruel Prince series. If you didn't know, which if you don't know, like what are you doing? Go read it right away.
Yes,
We talk
go read
about
it.
her all the time on the podcast. So
Yes. We love the
okay.
Cropin series here. Big
Yes.
fans.
Next up on the list, we have Miss Addie LaRue.
Okay. Oh,
Yes,
wait.
I know. We're gonna
Never
shift
mind.
back and forth between what's on your list and what's on mine.
Okay, that's fair. Addie LaRue, from The Invisible Life Addie LaRue. This is by V.E. Schwab.
Yes.
It is very this book is like crazy when you once you like come off like a
Yeah.
year after reading, you're like, wow, that
Uh-huh.
book concept and the way it's written is absolutely insane. It feels like a whole fantasy world in the lens of like literary fiction almost.
Yeah.
It's very
Yes.
prosy, it's
Mhm.
very like it's high, it's highbrow kind of like just like
Yes.
you feel more elevated when you're reading it. Um yes, so Addie, um, she's also a very complex character. What if we
Yeah.
put
Oh.
forgettable because everyone forgets her in the book? So the idea
So
of the book, if you don't know, I'm gonna give a
yes.
10-second little thing, is
Yes,
that
yes,
she
yes.
basically makes a deal with the devil right in the beginning of the book. She's from like the
Mhm.
1600s, basically, and she
Yeah.
makes a deal with the devil that she doesn't want to marry this man, and basically she wants to live another life, and it just so happens that the curse or the wish is
Mhm.
that she lives forever. So the book goes up to like 2014. So we see
Yes.
her in these lenses, but the caveat here is
Mhm.
that everyone forgets her. So basically,
Yes.
Addie could go into a room, that person meets that her, whatever, whatever, they leave, they forget her. So
Mhm.
it's a book about loneliness and like
Yeah, there's a it's so complex, and you know what's funny is a lot of bitches hate her. Like,
really? Why? I wonder why.
we read this for book club in, November, and I don't think all the book club girls loved her. I've seen online people I will say you kinda have to one, I think people like seeing plot holes that are accounted for in the story, and they just don't buy into it enough because a lot of people are like, "She lived for 200 years and she never made any change." But it's like the whole point of her story is the, like, subtle little things that she could do because of the price of her curse. So I do not criticize her for that, but I know a lot of people are like, she
Hmm.
spent 400 years just sleeping around and obsessed with men and didn't do anything I don't know what they wanted her to do. I guess they wanted
She's
her to
lived
be
like
like
100 different lives. I really think she's like the she's fine category.
yeah,
I I
yeah.
feel weird putting her in the forgettable one because I did
Mhm.
enjoy the book and I think it's a really well written book. I think V. Schwab is an author
Y
that will have
yeah.
some like this is a modern day classic. Addie, the Invisible
Mhm.
Life of Addie LaRue is a modern day classic. So I think Addie's fine. Like her
Yeah.
character's fine. Like I enjoyed reading her character. She's very complex and yeah,
I think I also out of the Addie LaRue book, whenever I think back to that book, it is more about like V. Schwab's skill as a writer,
yes,
about the concept, about the ending, and I'm not as much latching on to who
character.
Addie was as a person, but I still
Yeah.
really enjoyed her story, and I think that there are definitely more forgettable people on this list
It's lit.
that I definitely remembered who she was, unlike everyone she knew.
Yes. All right. Our
Next.
next leading lady is Feyre
Feyre
Archeron.
darling.
Feyre darling. Feyre, um,
Where do you wanna
Feyre,
put her?
Feyre. Um,
I know where
Feyre
I would wanna put
for
her.
me,
Uh-huh.
bestie tier maybe?
Okay, that's what I was thinking, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I know I know a lot of people might come
Feyre,
for us
I
for
feel like
this.
a weird attachment to Feyre for some reason, and I don't know why. I don't know if she's a self-insert character for me, like,
Mhm.
I don't know why. I do feel a strong attachment to her.
Yeah.
Also, ACOTAR, like probably most of you guys listening,
Mhm.
it's probably the book that got you into reading and/or romantasy, so that shit kinda sticks with you. But yeah, Feyre, like, she's great. Love Feyre.
I do too. I think she also exists in, like if Aelin is a because they're both by, Miss Sarah J. Maas. If Aelin is a very complex, well-written female main character, I think Feyre is a very simple, well written, relatable female main character. I think she kind of exists on that spectrum of like who we'd want to be in the fantasy world. We might be the person who dies right away on page one. But if I like had to be like how I think I would act and survive, she's who like I inspire to be. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like her
Yeah.
personality kind of like is softer without being dull.
She's
And
a
I think
fantasy Belle from Beauty and the
yeah,
Beast, and,
yeah,
like, the thing is, like, Belle was my favorite
literally.
princess growing up, so I think
Mhm.
that, like, I don't know, it just sticks. Also, we had the same birthday,
You
and I
know,
think we
you have a
kinda look
very
alike, so I don't know, it's
yeah,
crazy. Okay,
yes,
Bessie tier for sure. Great books. I mean, everyone listening has definitely read them,
yes,
so I don't
yes,
even have
and
to tell you.
her books are so good. I
They're so
love her
good.
story. Yes, hands down. Next we have Miss Sarah. I don't know her last name. I'm sure we knew it at some
Seraphine.
point. This is she's the main character of the Flesh and Fire series within JLA's prequel series to the From Blood and Ash. If you are a big fan of the podcast, you know that Peyton and I are sticking through the From Blood and Ash universe, even if it's gotten a tad long The final book in her, like, own separate series comes out in, like, 3 weeks, which is super
Oh,
exciting.
shit. They always
Um,
sneak up on me. I feel like there's
I
3 a
know.
year.
If I wasn't following JLA on Instagram, like, I wouldn't know, but, uh, how are we feeling about her?
Okay, Sarah.
Mhm.
I okay, so I like Sarah more than our next victim. Um, so she definitely is bestie tier for me. I
Yeah.
love Sarah's character. I
Yes.
love these, especially the first 2 books. The 3rd one was kind of a
Mhm.
flop for me. But the
Yeah.
first 2 books in this
Mhm.
series, oh my gosh, they're amazing.
No, they are.
It's amazing. It's exactly what you want in a female main lead. She's a
Mhm.
little bit stronger than her granddaughter, and yeah, so it's
Yeah.
really cool, and I like, if you are familiar with the From Blood, oh my god, I can't speak either. From the From Blood and Ash, world, the, like, modern day part of this series is because these are the
Mhm.
prequels. I love this, like, land before time sort of,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
where we get more of the, like, gods and the
Mhm.
primals versus, um,
Ash.
in From Blood and Ash, you just kinda get, like, the normal people. I
Yeah.
don't know, it feels more
Yeah.
epic,
Uh-huh.
so maybe that makes me like Sarah more, but love Sarah.
Yes, I
She
think
definitely is a
Sarah
bestie.
is, like, the refined version of Poppy that I want. Like, Poppy can get on your fucking nerves.
Yes.
And some of it's Poppy's fault, and a lot of it's JLA's fault. Uh,
Poppy, Poppy.
but yes, I think Sarah would be such a G too. Like, I think she would really be a girl's girl through and through.
Yes, she's great. Love her. So Sarah definitely put her at that bestie tier. So
Yes.
speaking of that,
Mhm.
our next character is Poppy. So
Poppy.
Poppy for me is low
Yeah.
key annoying.
Yeah. I
So
feel
this is the thing about Poppy. I kind of feel bad because I feel like she's fine, but
mhm.
she's fine. Feels like she's just boring. Forgettable is like I don't even remember her story. Like I remember her
Yeah.
story, but low key annoying is like, all right. Poppy starts off as a really cool character, and I
Mhm.
really appreciate that she starts off as a character like that doesn't really know how to fight, doesn't really
Yeah,
know who
yeah.
she is. Like there's a lot of mystery surrounding her, so I don't know. I'm really curious to hear what you think. I'm kind of bordering between she's fine and but also low key annoying
Honestly, I feel like it depends on where you're at in her
in the book.
series. So heavily. Like, in book 1, I think she's so strong. Like, I think the
Book
fact
one's
that she
amazing.
like, so much has been hidden from her, and she is kind of still making a path. You can see it right away. The very first chapter, she's doing dangerous shit. She is
It's
supposed
the
to
first
be, like, the top,
the
like,
best first
Virgin
chapter.
Mary, and she's going to get fucked at the Red Pearl. Like, I love
She's
her
so
character
cool.
so much. The ending of the 3rd book in her series is my favorite fantasy moment ever. At that point, I'm like, she is my queen, ride or die for Poppy. However, I think, especially lately in the series, I think she is definitely low-key annoying. She definitely
Yeah.
is annoying. And I think
Should
I
we
hate to put
should
her
we
at the
just meet?
bottom.
You think so? I'm like, should we just meet in the middle?
No, no, I think she deserves the orange coloring, but out of our words, and I tried to do better this time than I had for the last one because I do these custom words and then we kinda, like, latch onto that, but I think she deserves the orange coloring, but low-key annoying is the essence of Poppy, and I think we should put her there
Okay.
for where we're at in the series.
I'm for it.
I think she has the chance because I swear to God, she probably has like 8 more books. She has the chance to move back up the list.
Yes. Um
Okay, next on my side of the list that we have here is Miss Tessa Gray.
Tess. Okay,
Uh,
Tessa. Okay, so Tess is my favorite character in all of like
Shadowhunters?
Cassandra Clare's, yeah,
Yes.
Shadowhunters.
Mhm.
She's my favorite. Love her.
I
She
love
is
her so much.
for me, she's like that bestie tier. Like she
Yeah.
is so fucking cool. I don't
Mhm.
remember a lot about those books, but I remember absolutely loving that character.
Yes. Yes. I'm actually in the middle of rereading or re-listening to because I'm doing the audiobooks, this trilogy. She is the main character of the Infernal Devices, which starts with Clockwork Angel of Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunter series. You might have seen the TV show or the movie of City of Bones, Shadowhunters. That's like the first initial series. She takes place in period, so it's the 1880s, very like Regency, Bridgerton, even though I know that technically it's like the period after that, Victorian, whatever. I don't care. But she is of a more classic time period. Her story, I think, is so intrinsically combined with Will and Jem, the other two main characters, that if I was looking at like on the level of like love story or a series as whole, I would put up at my queen. But I think just Tessa, I agreed. I think that's bestie tier. I love her. I love her with all my heart, but she's not
100%.
Aelin and Jude.
No, you kind of have to like make some hard decisions here, unfortunately.
Everyone can't exist at bestie tier, unfortunately. I mean, at my queen, everyone can exist at bestie tier. I think that's going to be our biggest category, but perhaps not.
Yeah.
Who do we have next on your side?
Miss Violet Sorrengail.
Mm,
So Violet was my queen for a while, but Iron
mm,
Flame, she's 21. She's going through some
yeah.
shit. Um, Violet for me. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth Wing is like my favorite series right now.
Yeah.
It's like my
Yeah.
number one. So five.
Where do you? I know. I think for me, while you think about it, in Iron Flame, she is Loki annoying.
Loki
She
annoying
does not
100%.
she does
Let's
not have
be
a lot
clear.
of redeeming qualities in Iron Flame, but it's a 5-book series, and I do appreciate having ebbs and flows in your main characters because there is someone on this list who I feel like the author doesn't allow to be imperfect, doesn't allow to have flaws, and I think that harms the story and the main character. So as much as she was low key annoying, I enjoyed that out of Violet. And I enjoyed being like, hey, she's 21. She's in over her head. There's a lot of shit going on, especially for my romantasy book. Like, having that
Yeah, you don't want her to be
realism.
like badass all the time.
But
Yeah.
I would definitely never put her in the low key annoying because we do have Fourth Wing. We do know what she is like at on top of her game in a book where her whole universe hasn't been flipped on side of her head and where I think she will return to in the next book. Where
Violet is such a cool character too, and she's
Mhm.
so strong, and
Yes.
I really like her dragon.
I do
S
really like her dragons. I think for me she's bestie.
yeah, she's bestie.
I think
100%.
Fourth Wing is my queen. I don't think she's my queen. Violet's my queen yet.
No, she's not really my queen right now.
But
So
her book
Violet,
is.
bestie. Oh yeah, Fourth Wing is like if there's haters on Fourth Wing, I'm like, you suck. You don't know anything.
And now we are back with another Shadowhunter girly on the list,
Ooh.
Miss Clary Frey. I almost said, if you don't know, Shadowhunters, they have a complex naming system. And so a lot of these characters have many last names. And I almost said a spoiler, which is a different last name that she also has on top of like 80 bajillion last names. But no, Miss Clary Frey.
Okay, I didn't read this whole series, so I feel like I don't really get like a full vote here. But
Okay.
I am not a fan of Clary. I'm not a big fan of Clary.
Listen,
She's
I
just young.
will
She's just
I will
young.
defend her and I will say two things. One, yes, she is very young. And two, I think it is also hard being the main character in a Portal series where every other character around you is very skilled and knowledgeable about the fantasy world that we're in. But because she comes in with no training and no knowledge, she becomes kind of like annoying and like wimpy at times because
She's fine.
she can't yeah, I think she's fine. I think her books kicked off something that was very, very special to me. I loved her as a kid, but even still, I think the other characters she's surrounded with in the Mortal Instruments are stronger. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
that is just like it's hard to emphasize with the main character. Like sometimes, the other side characters can be more interesting, and I think that's a big case for her universe. She makes some questionable decisions, or more so, Miss Cassandra Clare makes some questionable decisions with the forbidden love trope that comes into the series. But I think she holds her own as later in the books too. And she's another softer character, which I do enjoy. I just think it comes off a little wimpy in her books.
Yeah,
She's fine.
100%.
She's
She's
fine.
fine.
She's fine. All right.
Speaking of another character that I feel is pretty fine, is Bryce Quinlan.
Yeah.
She's fine.
Guys. No,
She's
okay.
cool.
Listen.
She's cool.
If you would have talked to me after House of Earth and Blood, the first book. So she's the main character of the Crescent City books, which is the third and final for the moment SJM book. Bay book. If you would have talked to me after Crescent City 1, I would have told you that Bryce Quillen like it had the is at Bessie tier and has the potential to enter my queen tier. After book 2, I'd say she's in bestie. She's in bestie. Book 3 ruined her character. It was a
Yeah, her
bad
and
book.
her love interests. It wasn't a great book. She's
No.
fine. Well, it's nice though because we're actually ranking the Sarah J. Maas characters like
Mhm.
in order of how we like the books.
Yeah,
So she's fine.
she's fine. She's fine. It's
She
really
is not
unfortunate.
Farrah level for me. Like Farrah
No.
is cooler than Bryce. Okay, Bryce is such a fucking cool character. Like she is like bad girl,
Yes.
like kind of party girl. Like she's who I aspire to be in life. She
Mhm.
just is like, but then on paper and her decisions, she's fine.
I think if you would have read just book 1 and book 2 and never touched Throne of Glass, she would be at my queen. But I think once you read Throne of Glass, you can tell that a lot of her like mastermind behavior
It's just Aelin.
is Aelin, and Aelin does it better.
Yep.
And I think that
100%.
impacts. I think in the context in which she lives in.
The context. Because she fell out of a coconut tree.
Yeah. Her coconut tree is unfortunately at she's fine. Okay. Okay.
She's fine.
Next on the list is Miss Tress, which is the one and only Brandon Sanderson book that Peyton has read. Tress and the Emerald Sea. If you guys don't know, this is a Princess Bride retelling in which Buttercup gets some agency, and instead of kind of like getting kidnapped and like tossed around the story, she says, "No, I'm gonna find Wesley myself. I'm gonna save Wesley."
She's like, fine, I'll do it myself. She has a lot of drive and like agency, which is
Mhm.
really cool. Tress for me is fine.
Yeah.
She's cool.
I I
I
feel like
she's cool. She's fine.
I really love this character.
I love it, but also if you're like, oh, tell me some of your favorite fantasy characters, like
I
female
would
characters,
never say her.
I would never say Tress.
No, no. I honestly, again, I think this is something where I would bring up her book and I would mention her alongside that, like Tress in the Emerald Sea. I love the whimsy vibes. I love Hoyd as our narrator. If you are a Brandon Sanderson fan, that means a
Hoyd's the
lot.
best. Yeah.
I love the magic system in this. You're like
Yeah.
traveling across seas and there's different seas, but they're not actually water. FMCs. It's like spores. It's so cool. This art, which can we take a moment to talk about the art? Because I am someone who loves, I love art. I love book character art. So I had really fun like finding the art for some of these. Um
Trust like,
Frostbite
and this is
Studios is the
it's a
ones
great
who did
story.
Jude.
Oh,
Oh,
I think
sorry.
I've seen
I
her
was just talking
character.
about the fan art in general. So the art for Jude and Tessa is done by Frostbite Studios. I love their work. It's so beautiful. The art that's a lot in this style that like Aylin, Feyre, and Sarah and Violet are sitting at. I don't know. She goes by different usernames. We're following her. It's like MF something. I can tag her down below. I'll
Yeah.
link some of these artists in there because I do have favorites. And the art for Tress is so whimsical and beautiful and like fairy tale esque. Like
The
just look
imagery
at
of this
that.
book is amazing.
Oh,
Let's give
I
her
forgot
some
you
rank.
don't have the art.
Yeah, I don't. Let's give her some rank. I'm excited to see it though. Let's give her some rank and put her at she's fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
Um
But the
Next,
art is queen.
yes. No, the book is beautiful. Even just like the standard um book cover. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
have like the
amazing.
$200 $100 version, but
Yeah, Aubrey's like collector's edition is
oh my
absolutely
gosh.
breathtaking. That's what my friend Logan has. And he's
Mhm.
obsessed with it. And he actually bought me the one I have. So it's a great if you want to like relive some childhood like storybook feeling, I highly
Yeah.
recommend Trust the Emerald Sea. Okay,
Yes.
next we have Sasha, and I'm gonna be 100%. I was like, who's Sasha? Who's Masha? And I'm like, unforgettable because I don't remember them. But then I realized it's from One for My Enemy, which is all of you Blake's, and it's so book. It's like Romeo and Juliet, but with witches
Mhm.
in like the boroughs of New York. Okay, I love this book. Love
Yes.
it. Um, but I have to say, these characters need to go into forgettable
Yes. I
because
had
I
to
don't.
Google their names.
Yes. So let's put them in forgettable. If you have Sasha and Masha, just because
Yes.
they're
Yep.
together.
They're sisters.
Great
Yeah,
book.
we this
Highly
was our
recommend.
Halloween book that we read last year. Is I think it's really good. I know you really loved it. And I
I
think that
loved
they
it.
are strong characters. Like even thinking back to it, this is a very character motivated story.
Yeah, I just
But
forget them.
I just think I liked the vibes of the story more so than anything. And these, like every character in that book, including Sasha and Masha, made some questionable decisions. Um, yeah.
But
Also, the fan
yeah,
art
they're
isn't the
forgettable though.
best. Yeah.
They're
Actually, there isn't fan art of them, but Olivia Blake always includes beautiful art in all of her books. I just
yes.
couldn't find good copies of it, and I have the book, but I wasn't scanning shit, so I couldn't find good copies of the beautiful art online. So what we have isn't the best in this representative because no one drew them. Because I think even people who love the book just didn't attach enough to make art of these characters.
Yeah. Great book though. All in
Um,
all. Love the story.
we have another. Actually, I'm gonna skip this character because I want you to introduce her and try to figure out who she
Yeah,
is.
I already know who it is because I don't know who that is.
Do you want to say it?
Is it Charlie?
Yes. Do you
Who's
have any
Charlie?
idea?
No. Did we
She
read this book?
Yes, I only picked books that I knew we had characters that I knew we had both read. She is the main character from Book of the Night.
Yeah, so forgettable.
So
That book is
forgettable.
forgettable, and that sucks because it's Holly Black.
Uh,
Like you're just raving about her, but
I
yeah,
know.
forgettable. I don't remember anything. I remember someone called Red in it. Anyways,
Yeah,
that's
I remember like whenever I am forced to think about that book, I'm like, no, I can see the overarching. It was very like vibes driven. It was Holly Black's first adult, and I think she went very hard on the adult. That especially if you know her for the Folk of the Air series
it's
and
not
like her
whimsy or
more
anything.
whimsical stuff, it didn't land as much.
Like urban fantasy.
I might listen to book 2 if it ever comes out. because it
Yeah,
ended in a
I
cool-ish
wanna read.
place.
Oh, it
It
ended
had
so great, guys. Great
Yeah,
ending.
and
I
has
wanna
a
read the
very
next one.
unique
I keep
magic
forgetting.
system.
She's taking forever to write the next one
Yeah.
because 'cause she's
Well,
been
because the
so
book didn't
busy with
perform very
the.
well.
Yeah, it did not perform very well. Yeah, did not remember Charlie. Alright, give
Yeah.
us a ne give us your next one.
Okay. The next one for me is my queen, Nesta.
Oh, Nesta. Yes.
Where would
She's
you put her? I know I would put her in queen.
yeah, I'd put her, like, bestie tier with Feyre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Nesta a lot. She quickly became, like, up there with Feyre, like, my favorite
Mhm.
character in the ACOTAR universe. Azriel is my favorite, but we're not doing Mem. Um, so, yeah, Nesta would be bestie tier.
Yeah. I
Um,
as much as
I'm
I
happy that we both like
personally
Nesta because the
Yes.
internet here has a bone to pick with that woman,
I
and
know a
it is,
lot of
like,
people would put her at the bottom.
the hate for Nesta is personal. Like, it's not just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I didn't really like that character," or, "Oh, she wasn't for me," or, like,
Mhm.
we review books all the time on this channel, and a lot
Yeah.
of times people are like, "Oh, I love that book," when we say we hate it, or if we love the book,
Mhm.
people are like, "Oh, that book sucked," but it's all just like, "Eh, not for me, whatever." Nesta, though, whole other realm.
Yeah. I think she unfortunately exists in the space where people project their traumas onto her and make her seem worse of a character than she actually is. And I know even like we've done videos defending her before, and in the comment section, a lot of people will say, I've known people like her in real life. I can't. And then they'll say, I can't accept an abuser. And I don't think Nesta was an abuser. And maybe that is us coming from it at different contexts. She was a bad person, but especially if you're looking her at the context in which we all exist in the ACOTAR world, there are characters who were murderers that we have forgiven. There are characters who have done so much worse. And people like I think people just take it, and if
Really
you
taking it personal.
yeah, and I understand. I understand if she walks that line and you've had people who are past it, but you see qualities of her in them, I can understand where the hate stems from, but I personally do not exist, and I don't believe that that is who Nesta ever was.
Yeah, I think she was just damaged. And, like, what did you want her to be a steady character throughout the whole book? Like,
Yeah.
a part of narrative is having these character arcs. And
Mhm.
so that is her character arc, is
Yes.
that nasty stuff, but then she overcomes
Mhm.
it. And,
And a
you know,
lot of like the mean things that she did were all to her sister. And I know that if you're a Farah defender, you're gonna like be like da 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 da. But let me say, as a
Feyre forgive
sister,
her.
Farah forgave her for one, and for two, as a sister, you say vile shit to your sister, and that because it's just there's a different relationship when you have a sibling than like a friend. I think if a friend was treated like that, I'd say just cut him off, just move on. But she did apologize and she did redeem herself, and they distanced themselves from her when she was nasty. But all
Yeah.
she ever was nasty. She was never
Yeah.
abusive. I don't think she held like the power, and I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think
It's a
she's just
complex.
broken. It's a complex
Yeah.
character. Yeah, I really put like with I put her next to Aelin in my head. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't really care. Hmm.
All right. Who is next on your list?
Let me go down. Iris. Iris.
She is the main character from the Letters of Enchantment series. Book one is Divine Rivals. I'm sure you've seen it on Instagram and TikTok. Her books really popped off. Ruthless Vows just came out in like January, February.
Yes.
Hmm.
Iris to me is very annoying.
Honestly,
I'm not a fan of these
yeah.
characters. I'm not a fan of the love story. I'm a fan of the writing. I'm
Mhm.
a fan of the vibes. I'm a
Yeah.
fan of the world. It's
Mhm.
just I didn't jive with the characters, and I think people that are really into romance love
Mhm.
these books. The
Yeah.
same way I don't know. The books as a series, I'm like, "Okay, cool. They're fine." I
Mhm.
don't know. Iris, it would not be my go-to at all. I'm fine putting her in She's Fine if you really like her, but if not,
No.
I would like her in Low-key Annoying.
Honestly, I think we should switch low-key annoying and forgettable.
Forgettable?
I
Yeah.
think forgettable should be at the bottom. Let me do that. Okay. It didn't change the colors, but it did move it up
Yeah, I
because
do
I
think
think
Low-key Annoying should be 3 or 4
yeah,
because,
I was trying to think of low-key annoying like when you have negative emotions, but honestly, I do remember her and Poppy's character and I have like opinions on them and I don't below forgettable would be hate. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I don't
Forgettable, like,
hate
I don't even
anyone.
remember. No, I don't
Yeah.
really hate anyone here. Iris is fine, like, I feel like I'm gonna get haters about this because people feel very strongly about Divine Rival.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
I love the world, I love the vibes, I love the love story, I love the concept, it's just Iris just really wasn't for me. Yeah,
I think
that's all I have to
she
say.
yeah, I think she falls victim to it's a fantasy world and there are some fantasy elements, but she
She's a
exists
very
as a
normal girl.
strong historical fiction character, and that's
Yeah.
actually my beef. My beef with this series is I think it should exist more as magical realism than save the world plot because I think the second book fell flat for me because they were putting Iris, who is a super strong and lovable historical fiction magical realism character, into a high fantasy setting and like that girl should have never held a sword a day in her life.
Yeah. Alright, so we're on to our
Okay.
next one, which I think you're introducing.
Me? Okay. This is Freya from A Fate Inked in Blood. How do you feel?
Freya is, forgettable.
Freya.
I don't really remember anything about her character, to be completely honest. So
I'd put her at Loki annoying. So she's who I was talking about earlier, in which if I would have read A Fate Inked in Blood earlier in my romantasy journey, I think I would have really
yeah.
enjoyed her. She's the
Yeah,
shield
she's kinda annoying.
maiden. But I think she just it unfortunately, I think her and her love interest filled a very familiar role that I kinda had tired of, and that's purely personal taste. Um,
Yeah, let's
I'm
put her
gonna read
there.
the second book, but I think she just kind of
But the funny thing is, Aubrey, I if you
Mhm.
give me the second book right now, I wouldn't probably read it right away. I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'm done." Like,
Yeah.
I don't even remember how it ended. I have an idea they, like
Yeah.
yeah. So, but
Yeah.
so put
No,
her, low-key
I
annoying.
yeah, I think so. I listen, because I didn't remember Sasha, Masha, or Charlie's name. That's
Well,
how and
that's
there's another
forgettable.
character on here that I
Unforgettable
did
again.
not
Forgettable.
remember. I
That's
remember
forgettable.
Freya.
Yeah,
She just wasn't
Freya would be
great.
low-key. She's, like,
Yeah.
in between low-key annoying and She's Fine for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we can put her there.
Yeah. I think she
Next
is forgettable, like, I could forget her.
yes,
We
100%.
read her book recently, but I haven't yet. I
Yeah.
did forget these other characters. Alright.
Someone we will never forget, and this hurts because our names are very similar, is Peyton.
Listen, guys, if you are
We
new to the podcast,
we are not
we talk
fans.
extensively about Powerless and Reckless in our reviews for those books. We are not fans. And if you love her, my sister does. My sister is a diehard fan of Lauren Roberts' writing, of Lauren Roberts' characters. I do think characters is the strongest.
I do. Her characters are the strongest. This is the
Mhm.
bottom line, and we posted a TikTok the other day, and I think I said this
Mhm.
in one of our TikToks too, is that if you are a solely romantasy girly who
Mhm.
also, when you're not reading romantasy, only reads romance,
Yes.
loves romance, which I know your sister does. Like she reads a lot of
Mhm.
romance. She'll read a lot of
Yeah.
smutty books. Is this is perfect for you. That you are going
Mhm.
to eat up this like dessert. It just so
Yeah.
happens for me, I didn't read Red Queen. Powerless was fine. Like, it was a good book. I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Reckless was a fucking hike for me. And it's
Y'all.
just tension, 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 nothing happening, tension. So if you love romance, go wet. Like, this is like
Mhm.
Hayden's gonna be your
Yeah.
fucking queen. But
Mhm.
for us,
Us
she
I Yeah, I think if I had just read Powerless, I'd put her at She's Fine. Having read Reckless, I think she's annoying. She was pissing me the fuck off in Reckless.
yeah, it's almost like in Reckless, like things happen where she's like it's basically like forced proximity and she just like
Mhm.
did some things where you're just like you were so cool in the first book and now you are like the best way to describe it is like pussy whipped kind of, but like
Yeah,
vice
yeah.
versa.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
I want my woman to be like strong and not just for like the trope of for tropes. Like this book's super tropey.
yeah.
Um
Mhm.
anyways,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Annoying. She's annoying. Honestly, I think that's where she belongs too. I think that if I was ranking her book, I would want it in that like I did not enjoy, I hated category below forgettable that we don't have on here. But as a character and just Peyton removed from like the the repetitive plot of her book, I think she's just low key annoying.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Next we have um kind of talking about that romantasy romance section, we have Misery, who is the main character of Bride from Ali Hazelwood's Step into the romantasy paranormal genre.
I love Misery. I think
You
she's
love her?
I think she's great. I really liked reading her character. She for an Allie Hazelwood book, like if I'm looking through like that
Mhm.
lens, I think she is I really enjoyed reading her character throughout that. She reminds me of like an Iris, but
Yeah.
someone who like just kind of gets thrown into it versus like
Mhm.
having all of like that, Iris does. She gets like thrown into war and she gets thrown
Yeah.
into these situations.
Mhm.
Misery, literally the first chapter, she gets thrown into a marriage. And
Yes.
so I really enjoyed reading her. She wasn't really annoying for me. I would put her
No,
at she's fine.
I think she's fine. I think
She's fine. I enjoyed the book.
if I read a lot of Ali Hazelwood, she might be like a top Ali Hazelwood character. But I think, especially in this context of fantasy books, I don't think she belongs anywhere further above. And I think within this, she's fine. She might rest more towards the bottom, like if I arranged those girls. But I think in general, she's fine.
Yes. Misery's great.
All right. Last on the list,
Is Callista?
Callista. Callista. I think it's Lista because they call her Lise or Liz. I don't know. It's a book. Do you remember what book she's from?
I was about to say. Okay. No, but until you said the list, is she from A Fall of Ruin and Wrath?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So she is
So,
from JLA's book that just published in the fall with Bramble, the new Tor romantasy offshoot.
so I didn't like this book at first, but the more I read it, I actually really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
She's fine. Honestly, she's forgettable because no, you know what? She is forgettable. Put that bitch at forgettable because she to me was just copy paste Poppy.
Really? She definitely has a lot of poppy
Okay,
qualities.
so maybe not. Okay, she felt like a
She's
very JLA
yes.
female character.
Yes. Yes.
I could
Yes.
argue that with Sarah
JLA
J. Maas too, but I just feel like she kind of tries her best to kind of make them feel
mhm.
different. No,
I don't think JLA tries. I think what JLA makes
forgettable.
different is her like kind of like plots and her magic systems and stuff like that. I don't think she tries to make the romance different.
No, it felt the
I
same, and the main love
unfortunately
interest literally felt like Hawk. It was
Yeah.
chalk.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first book and I loved how it ended, and I remember having a really, like, I think I honestly put it as, like, one of my top reads of 2023 when we did that ranking.
But I forget the book, and if
But
we read it at the end of last year, Aubrey, why aren't we talking about it more? Like,
I know, I
it's
know.
forgettable.
And I had to Google what her name was. I think she is forgettable, but I think it's unfortunate
It's sad. This
because
is a
I
sad
liked
forgettable.
yeah, like, I really liked that book, but I just keep forgetting her.
So,
So,
yeah.
and maybe if the second book came out, and maybe if I didn't get weighed down so heavily by all this other JLA stuff, but who even knows when the second book's gonna
I
come out?
know. Like, I think she needs to pause on these prequel shit, this,
Yeah.
like, companion guides. Give us
Uh,
a new book. Give us a new series.
yes.
Like, continue this. Like, oh, it's so
Uh,
frustrating, guys. Let me know if you also feel that way. I don't know how many people read JLA. I don't know if that train's
I
kind of
think
gone past.
our
Like,
our JLA videos do pretty well, so y'all
yeah, they
must be.
do.
You must be, or you've given up, but you wanna hear
That
what's happening, because I
or
think there's a decent amount of people who are like, "I'm not gonna do it anymore, but I'm glad you guys are."
but regardless, this is our, approved
Or
list as of right now.
yes.
We'll have to, like, revisit this in, like, a year
Mhm.
and a half,
Yeah.
um, and
See
kinda
who
see
gets
where we're at.
added.
Like, let's
Yeah.
get, Onyx Storm in there, that's the next, book.
Fourth
Sarah
Wing.
let's get another
Yeah.
Sarah book, like, let
I think there's definitely a few in here who have the potential to jump, and I think I that's a spoiler, never mind.
no spoilers. No spoilers today.
We've lasted this one's been a little tricky for me. There's been a few times where I was like, "Ah, never
Oh,
mind."
I know, yes, but, like,
Mm,
the girls who
mhm.
know,
Yeah.
and it's kind of fun to, like, dance around it. It's like,
Yes.
if you know, you know. Anyway, so that's our official ranking. Please like and subscribe. I said this last episode, but we are on Spotify and
Yes.
Apple Podcasts now. So if you're, like, out and about in your car and just wanna pop us on for some background
Mhm.
noise, we're here for
Yes,
you.
we're here. We're here. I think someone actually just commented the other day. They're like, "I love listening to the podcast while I'm in my car. Like, it's the perfect, like, background." And that is exactly what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we want because that's
Yes.
what I turn to the internet for.
Mhm.
So, we
Yes.
love you all.
Yes. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Let us know who you would have put if you have any disagreements with our obviously perfect, infallible opinions. So until next time, thank you so much for joining us and happy reading.